Hi everyone, today we're going to work on the body of this cow, and then if there's time I'll maybe come back to the head. But to begin with, I have a mix of yellow ochre and titanium white on my brush, and I'm going to apply that very thinly on the surface of the work I've done before, just to introduce a little bit of texture to the animal. And let's pick out some highlights on the back here, where the hide is a white colour, or is white I should say. So I've just added more titanium white to that yellow ochre mix that I was using a second ago. And now I'm going to use a really dark green so it's a mix of mostly ultramarine blue and a little bit of cadmium yellow. And I'm going to very lightly apply that. In selected areas within the shadow region on the body. And the idea here is that, even a very dark coloured surface will reflect something of the colour that it's next to. So this light green, with all of the light bouncing off the grass, some of that reflected green will hit the dark in shadow hide of the cow, and so there will be a very subtle bit of green within that dark shadow region. Now, before we return to work on the head, let's use some of the brown that I used in a previous video to just fill in this foreleg, which, if you remember, I somehow had missed earlier on in the painting. So let's fix that right now. And we just need to introduce a lighter orangey brown colour along the top of the foreleg where it's catching the light. Okay, and then I'll add a little bit more white to that mix. And then there's a little very light area here, which is just the side of the animal's hoof, which is, the foreleg is bent at the knee and the animal is resting on its own foot. So we just need to pick that little bit of light out as well. There we go. Now, the head of this cow is looking a little bit busy at the moment, and sometimes that can work. Sometimes lots of little marks give me the effect that I want, but in this case I'm going to take rather a bold move, and I'm going to put a coat of cobalt blue, very thin coat, almost a glaze really, and just really kind of simplify my treatment of the animal here. So let's see how this works. Now that's a little bit thick at the moment. Let me just water this down. Let's try this. And the idea here is to really bring back the depiction of the head of the cow to very simple shapes. And because I'm using thin watery paint, I can adjust the thickness of the glaze by applying more pressure. In other words, I can almost scrape my brush through the glaze that I've just applied, and that will remove some of the paint just very subtly, and consequently, especially once this has dried back, some of the work that I've done before will show through. So rather than it just being a blank blue colour, there will be these subtle colours coming through the glaze that I've put on top. And while that's still wet, I'm now using a mix of ultramarine blue and cadmium red. Again, very thin paint, and I'm going to do the same thing for the regions which are in even darker shadow. Now back to the highlights. If you remember in the previous video I said that I might actually go light to dark, which I did, and then work my way back to the lights, and that's exactly what's ended up happening. So it wasn't by design, but it's just the way it goes sometimes. So now I've got a mix of Silurian blue and titanium white, and that's gone on a little bit too heavy, so I'm just going to take a piece of paper towel and remove some of that paint. Just blot it there. Let's try that again. I more or less got the same thing again, so but we'll stay with that for now. And see what it looks like when it's dried back. And now with some pure titanium white, working into the wet paint that I just put down, I think that's working much better now. So what I'm going to do is, once this paint is dried, I'll come back at a later stage and work into the nose just to finalise the detail there and finalise the details on the eyes, which at the moment are simply, black marks, or very dark marks, I should say. So we'll leave the video there for today. Hope to see you next time, when my plan is to work on the face of this animal, and then the painting will be getting reasonably close to completion. So I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I hope to see you next time. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them in the comments below the video. Thanks again for watching.